Hello and welcome to this episode of the podcast. Today's guest is Gail Creighton Davies, and we have a great conversation about some of the adversity Gail has overcome in her life and the lessons learned from that. I'll give you a quick sneak peek of one of the stories right now.
And they showed us by an example. So we were all in groups. All the parents were in groups in this one session. They said, right, the leader said, the one person on the ground can only get up when they get distinct instructions from the other person. And you had to tell them, like, move your ankle, move your leg, bend your knee, you put one arm down, your right arm or your left arm, whatever it was, to give you the instruction. All you had to do was stand up.
Okay.
And that thought, oh, that's easy.
Yep.
But the person was not allowed to move until you gave them the exact instruction, and it was so hard.
Really?
We're all lying there going, well, no, I know I need to move my knee or my ankle or whatever, but you haven't told me to do that, so I can't.
Okay.
We're getting it in the wrong order.
Hello and welcome to the Be The Push podcast. My name is Jack Ferguson, and I'm going to be sharing with you stories of how business owners and entrepreneurs had to push through the hard times in their careers. We're going to be discussing the lessons learned from these experiences while arming you with actionable advice so you can be the push when you need it most. Show notes can be found at bethepush.com/podcast and clicking on the relevant episode link. Let's get started. So who would have thought that telling someone how to stand up would be so hard? But Gail teaches us a lot about communication in this episode, their lessons learned that from having a daughter with Down syndrome. So there's so much upside to that, as Gail points out throughout the episode. We talk about a few other things, including how Gail's improved her listening, how she actually communicates in the business world now, and what she's learned from having a daughter with Down syndrome who she has to communicate with in a particular way. It's a great episode. I hope you enjoyed this as much as me. Let's get into it. All right, so today we're here with Gail Creighton Davies. Gail, how are you doing today?
Not too bad, Jack. How are you doing yourself?
I'm doing very well. So Gail is the Director of Rhapsodate Consulting. You're the co-director of Picnic & Co. and the founder of the G8 Ladies. But I am detecting a little accent there, Gail. Where are you from?
Yes, I'm from Northern Ireland. It's been a long time, though, since I've lived there. I sort of travel around the globe a little bit before I ended up here in Brisbane.
Right, okay. So when did you come to Brisbane?
So I'm here about 10 years now, and people have said that I haven't lost my accent, which I'm quite happy about.
Yeah,
nothing
stuff.
Against the Aussie accent, but I'm really proud of where I come from.
Yes, fair enough. So tell me about Rhapsodate Consulting.
So it's a consulting company. My background is in IT, and then following that is in project delivery, program delivery, portfolio delivery, and then enterprise portfolio management. So I really help organizations to understand which are the right projects to do at the right time and in the right way.
Right.
And help them to deliver their strategic plan without the frustration of too much going over budget and frustrating the hell out of people. And really just we just get shit done.
Yeah, sounds good.
In a nutshell.
Why do we struggle with this so much? Because, I mean, this is probably not my area of strength either, to be honest. A lot of people really, why do they really struggle with project management?
I think with project management, there's so many really good project managers out there, and it's beginning to get really good recognition as a skill set and as a very vital role in an organization. There's the business as usual activities. They're what most people have done. They've gone to university, they've got their degree, and it's what they know. And then there's what we do it's the temporary activity. It's a change piece. There's a beginning and an end. So we have a very different mindset, but the two do come together to deliver what the organization's trying to achieve. And it's really understanding that it's the two sides of the same coin. We need both to deliver strategy, which will then keep the shareholders happy or the members happy and make money for the organization. Right.
So what's some of those first questions you'll ask someone when you go to help out with this area? Like, I mean, when it comes to project management, a lot of the times I don't really know where to start, to be honest, because it just overwhelms me really quickly. I always feel like I haven't quite zoomed out enough.
Yeah.
So where do you start?
Just ask them, what's the problem we're trying to solve?
Right.
What's wrong with right now? And then where do they want to get to? And why do they want to get there? And let the people, the people in the business or whoever it is you're talking to, let them tell you. Don't try and assume. Don't try to go into solution mode. go along the journey with them so that everybody knows what exactly you're trying to achieve and why. And sometimes when they actually talk it through, it's not really a project. It's not such a big piece of work.
Right.
But you just need to really work it through and have everybody understand, and then agree together what are we going to do to change this.
Mm-hmm.
And just, you got to work it out collaboratively. That you can't go off on your own.
Yeah.
You're not Superman. You don't know how the business operates. You're the facilitator to help the business work their way through this.
Gotcha. Very interesting. Well, we might touch on that a little bit later. Go back into that, but the podcast is about adversity and tough times people have pushed through. So I believe you have got a story for us you can share.
Oh, well, there's quite a few little stories from my journey, and one of them is my eldest daughter. I've got two daughters.
Yep.
My eldest daughter, her name's Moya. She's 8 years old, and she has Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
So when she was born, it was a surprise. We really hadn't a clue that this was coming. Well, we had a sort of an inkling because at the old 12-week test, I got the results back, and the doctor who actually told me the results, he had the bedside manner of Woody Allen.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I got a lot of rapid-fire words,
okay.
and proceeded to say, okay, so when are we booking in for a termination? And I thought,
wow.
let me just take that one and come back to you on that.
Wow.
So I walked out of there and thought, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Then I got some advice from the obstetrician to say, look, you're a bit older. I was an older mother at 35.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, you're a bit older, that's going to be skewed. There are a few options. You can just leave it and see what happens, or do an amniocentesis test. And I thought, well, I'll leave it.
Right, yeah.
So I put it out of my mind, and then whenever Moya was born, then we got the test done.
Yep.
And she had Down syndrome. So that was it was a shock.
Yeah.
And then there's the usual, right, well, how did that happen? Real stupid questions. Oh, was there something we did?
Right,
of course, there's absolutely nothing that you did. It's just luck of the draw.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's fine. It's absolutely fine.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really good thing. Well, we got our heads round it, and then you send out your text message saying baby's arrived and it's so wonderful. And then we had to do a follow-up saying, well, we've got an update for you. Moya has Down syndrome, and she's absolutely fine and all good and healthy. And a lot of our friends were very concerned and like, oh wow, that's a bit of a shock. And a really good friend sent a text message and said, hey girl, sometimes life just hits you a curved ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's how you hit it back that counts. And whenever I got that message, I thought, right, pull up your big girl pants.
Yeah.
Time to be a mum and look after this child.
Gotcha.
So that was it was really good, having girlfriends there and friends to say, come on, you can do this. It's not that bad.
Right. So that must have been terrible hearing that from the doctor. Like that sounds like just a horrific thing to go through.
Well, the people at the hospital when she was born were amazing.
Okay.
They, oh my goodness, you couldn't have asked for better people to actually break news like that to you.
Yeah.
They were sensational.
Yeah.
And they were so helpful. And one of the nurses there, she says, right, you go home and take that child out for a walk and show her off. And that's exactly what we did. We live in Rosalie Village, and we popped her in the pram and took her straight down to Salt.
Cool.
Yeah, it was great.
Awesome. So how did that work in with your plans, like your career plans that you maybe had before that situation, or before you had your daughter? How did that all have to change after you had Moya?
Yeah, it was the simple things were the ones that really had to change. So one of the options we could have had was for whenever I was going back to work, we could get a nanny in. But we soon realised that the best thing for a child with a disability was to get in and be with other kids, because kids learn from other kids.
Mm-hmm.
We're pack animals. We need to be in a pack to learn from each other.
Gotcha.
So we thought, well, no, she needs to go to daycare. So she went off to daycare, and I was terrified leaving her there, and because I thought, well, she's got this, she's got that. You need to be aware of this, be aware of that. She loved it.
Right.
Oh, she had them all wrapped around her little finger in no time. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I said, guys, you've really got to start. You've got to treat her the same.
Yeah.
There's no favoritism here. You've got to totally treat her the same, because she had them all. Yeah, she had them wrapped around her little finger from a couple of months old.
Right.
So so having that option of having like a nanny or an au pair to make life a bit easier just wasn't there. So rushing in with a child in the carry pouch and my backpack on my back and getting the bus in and hoping there was no vomits was
Yeah.
it was an interesting way to start the day every day.
Right. Yeah.
Like, everything's achievable.
Yeah.
And the daycare was absolutely fantastic, and work was amazing.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah, I was very, very lucky.
Yeah. So did you change the way that you looked at things after that? Your career, like how I was sort of really interested in, like, you come across as a really a professional, I suppose is the best word, and I just imagine you would have had a lot of things that you could have done, and that would have just had to change in your professional life.
Well, there's certain things. For example, if I'd be looking at any new roles, and they said, "Oh, can you travel?" I said, "Well, not really."
Gotcha.
Routine is very important,
Mm-hmm.
and taking more than a couple of days away is it's not really achievable,
Mm-hmm.
or unless it's very much planned and everybody's up to speed on what's going on. So things like that are very hard. Where I see a lot of other, because I've got my consultancy, and I see a lot of other consultants. They're flying in, flying out to Sydney and Melbourne all the time.
Yep.
I don't have that. I don't have that luxury, and
Yep.
and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's amazing though, through having a child with a disability, you see things that you would miss, like the
Right.
milestones that we would celebrate.
Okay.
We see other parents just taking them as, well, yeah, of course they're going to do that, but
Yeah.
we celebrate things so much more
Right.
because it took so much longer to get there.
Gotcha.
And sometimes I even think, you missed that. You didn't really celebrate that very well, or it was actually such a big thing. So yeah, we tend to celebrate a lot more, and we see more of the achievements.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what are some of those achievements that you can see that a lot of others haven't?
Well, walking, rolling.
Right. Yeah.
So there was a long time she was doing this bear run. So the feet are flat on the ground, but the hands are also flat on the ground. She hadn't actually stood up.
Okay.
All her friends were running around, and she was keeping up with them, but she was running with her hands on the ground, like a bear run.
Yeah.
And she'd normally be looking backwards as well, so she'd face plant quite a bit into walls and things like that. So
Right.
it gave her the prompt to maybe try and stand up and run. And her little friends in daycare, they were amazing at actually saying, "No more, stand up and run, look forward and stand up and run."
Right.
It was them that got her. So our decision to put her into daycare really worked a treat, because if she was at home, she wouldn't have had all the other kids doing that. Things like crawling. We moved her into the toddler room when she wasn't crawling. They said, "Oh, you've got to do this. You can't move her in until she does crawl." It's like, well, you know what? She's got to learn to crawl or be crawled over.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved her in, and soon enough, she started crawling.
Right.
It's things like that you do see, and other parents would be like, "Wow, they're running. They were walking, now they're running." For us, that was just huge, absolutely huge, just to stand up and really go unaided, and don't have your hands on the ground to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Even though she was running into walls.
Right. What about the communication with you, and how did that change the way you communicated?
Yeah, so it took quite some time. But it was interesting watching her, because we had access to the disability support groups, and there were some really good sessions where they were teaching us as a group, well, this is how your children learn, and it's different, and it's going to take longer, but put yourself in their shoes. And they showed us by an example. So we were all in groups, all the parents were in groups in this one session. They said, right, the leader said, the one person on the ground can only get up when they get distinct instructions from the other person, and you had to tell them, like, move your ankle, move your leg, bend your knee, you put one arm down, your right arm or your left arm, whatever it was, to give you the instruction. And all you had to do was stand up.
Okay.
And that thought, oh, that's easy.
Yep.
But the person was not allowed to move until you gave them the exact instruction, and it was so hard.
Really?
We're all lying there going, well, no, I know I need to move my knee
Right.
or my ankle or whatever, but you haven't told me to do that, so I can't.
Okay.
We were getting it in the wrong order.
Right.
So it was interesting. So I thought, well, hang on a minute, I got to hop down on the floor.
Yeah.
I tried it out, and then I stood up, and then I gave the instruction. And it was interesting when I went into work after that, and I thought, hang on a minute, I'm in projects all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we're saying to the teams that we're bringing change to their processes, or how they do their work, or their information management, whatever it was. And we're just saying, well, this is an easy one.
Yeah.
But if you really get in and do what they do, experience what they experience,
Yeah.
and then try to see how that change really looks like on their side, it's a completely different view.
Wow.
And it really opened my eyes to
Yeah.
just what the user would experience and how you need to approach it completely differently.
Mm.
You got to understand their environment before you're actually going to tell them they're going to do something different or
Yeah.
help them along the journey.
Yeah, it sounds like you have to break it right down
Yeah.
to the conscious level. I suppose we just stand up unconsciously, should I say,
Yeah.
all the time, but
Yeah.
we don't actually think about
You don't think
the sequence of
No.
how that looks.
Yeah, and it's as well, just funny you're saying that. So whenever you're communicating as well, what they taught us was, okay, if you're going to say something to your child, speak in the order that you want them to do things in.
Mm-hmm.
So say, okay, first we're going to do this, then we're going to do that, and then we're going to watch
Yeah.
ABC for Kids.
Yeah.
So they know this sequence of the way you've spoken.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say, we'll watch ABC for Kids after you've eaten your dinner,
Yeah, okay.
they've just thought, hang on, so that's ABC for Kids first,
Yeah.
or is that dinner first?
Right.
So, and it's the same whenever you're doing communication for
Yeah.
projects, for change, for anything. If you keep it simple and speak in the right order, the people are half listening or skim reading or whatever it is, because people are busy and we've got information overload.
Yeah.
Keep it in the right order, and people pick it up faster.
Wow.
It was crazy. I didn't even think about it that way, but yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I never would have thought to do that. I think I talk in jumbles at times.
Yeah.
I jump about 4 steps ahead. Oh, but then before we do that, we've got to do this, and this, of course. But
Yeah.
how long did it take for you to train yourself to speak like that?
Oh, I still catch myself out
Oh,
because
right.
we did it. We were so conscious of doing it, but we were also using a bit of sign language as well.
Okay.
And we stopped signing. And when I see a couple of other families that we know with kids with disabilities and they're signing, I think, oh my God, it's been so long since we did that. And I see them really speaking in the right order and structuring sentences correctly. We sort of moved away because she's now in grade 3 in school.
Mm-hmm.
And we sort of need to jumble things up a little bit to keep her moving. But then you go, oh, hang on, we've now confused the matter.
Right.
Put it all in the right order again. So we test her by jumbling it around, but it makes life much easier
Yep.
to keep it in the right order. And then with my younger daughter as well, we stuck to the original plan, and
Right.
she picked things up very quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
And then are you conscious of when you are in the professional environment? Are you conscious of that sequence still?
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Definitely. Because you're talking to people you haven't met.
Yeah.
And their current work environment, you don't know. You don't know what's been going on, what the history is there, what they've been promised,
Yeah.
and then what their expectations is of you. You know, who is this person who's going to tell me to do things differently?
Yeah.
So if I'm presenting anything to them, I'll make sure I engage properly with them and understand where they're coming from,
Yep.
trying to understand their history, and ask them what they think of what's going on and what they expect to get out of it.
Yep.
And then, okay, this is what we're going to do in the order.
Yep.
This is what you can expect at each point.
Yeah.
And would you like us to change anything? Is what's going to work out of that? What's not going to work out of that?
Yeah.
And really just keep the engagement flowing, and keep it simple and straightforward, and use common sense.
Wow. Yeah. And I mean, we just talk at times, don't we? We just say words and hope for the best.
Yeah, you need a lot more listening.
Yeah. So was this experience, did that help you be a better listener, do you feel?
Yeah, definitely. As well, when my daughter did really learn to speak, it did take, she still just goes speech therapy lessons right now.
Okay.
So each new therapist will teach her just better breathing techniques and how to get her sentences longer and speaking. And it does take longer, and you don't, whenever we're listening to other people, sometimes we're jumping in. We've already thought, well, they're going to say this, so I'm going to say that next. But, stop and wait, let them finish their sentence and engage with what was just said. Don't be thinking of your reply. Just take it a moment at a time and have the conversation right now.
Right. Do you think we struggle with that because of the amount of distractions we have going on?
Oh, it's
because
insane.
our minds are just jumping all over the place all the time, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to use my phone less. It's one thing I'm trying to do, because it just can suck 2 hours out of you without you even realising.
I know.
You're on God knows what site to learn about whatever, or watching YouTube or something, and see you later 2 hours.
But yeah, it's great. Just take a bit of quiet time and listen, and you can learn so much more. What's one of those analogies they say? Oh, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so use them in that order.
Yeah. I think one I've heard is I can't remember who said it, so I can't. Apologies to whoever I'm stealing it from, but it was something along the lines of, a lot of people are just waiting for their turn to talk.
They are. They really are. And it was great because a good friend of mine, Catherine Ball, we did a fantastic exercise with a lady at her house, Barbara Warren. And we were throwing a ball to each other to say, and we had to say something. And it really showed that we weren't listening. We were just waiting for our turn to throw the ball and our turn to say something. We were focusing on ourselves and we weren't listening to what everybody else was doing. And when she stopped us and said, right, the person before you, what did they say? The person after you, what did they say? And we all looked at each other and went, oh my God, we're so self-absorbed. It was really confronting, but she was spot on.
Right.
Yeah.
So how often do you do those type of exercises? Or?
Oh, not enough.
Right.
Yeah, that was a one-off and that was brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you do it?
Well, it was Catherine was getting us together. This lady had she trains the Telstra Businesswomen of the Year, the award winners,
Yep.
whenever they're doing for making speeches and going on panel sessions. And Catherine had found her absolutely fantastic. So we got Barbara in to run a session for us, and we paid towards a charity that's close to Catherine's heart. So it was actually, she got us together. Most of us are co-authors in a book called The Gumption Trigger.
Yep.
So so she got us together because we're launching the book soon, and there's going to be a bit of a panel event at the book launch.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
we're all going to have to speak, and Catherine wants to make sure that we know how to speak.
You might have to listen too, Gail, to the questions.
I know.
Yeah.
We'll be all so nervous whenever the questions come. We'll say, huh?
Yeah. And that's the thing, like in those situations, I think the nerves can get in the way, right, of the listening.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just need to quiet our minds and just listen and stop thinking about, what am I doing? What am I going to say? What's this? Just listen to the question.
Yeah. Do you meditate?
No.
Okay.
I've got 2 kids.
Yeah. Yeah, that's coming from someone who doesn't have any kids, right? Yeah.
Well, people say that I did actually try, because somebody said there was you could do like a 1-minute meditation or a 2-minute meditation. I thought, okay, I'll give that one a go. And I know people who have done it successfully, but I didn't quite achieve that. Yeah, I'll keep trying.
Yeah, I will too. I'm not doing very well, but I'll get there.
Yeah.
So what's it like now? Where you're at now with sorry, what was your daughter's name?
Moya.
Mm-hmm. I was listening.
It's okay.
Yeah, where are you at now? How is so she's not young anymore. Oh, she's young, but not super young anymore.
Yeah, she's 8. She thinks she's in her teens, and
right.
so she's in regular mainstream school. And the school are fantastic and they're so supportive. And her younger sister started school this year as well. So it's really good having the one drop off. And they go to before school care, after school care. And she's got the most amazing group of friends. They are fabulous. So although she's not keeping up with her peers academically, she's definitely keeping up socially. And so she's remaining with the group as she's going through the school system. Mm-hmm. And they're brilliant. Mm-hmm. We couldn't have asked for a better school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and she wants to be a teacher.
Right. And
that's fine. So we'll get her there. It's we'll take the scenic route, but we'll get her there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So did you when you had your daughter, did it become somewhat of an imperative to have your own business because you can work on your own terms a little bit more?
Yeah, I gave having my own business a go a good few years previous, and then I was offered actually a really good contract. So I parked that for a while, and then I've resurrected it again. It certainly helps. It certainly helps to have be at home in the office, so there's the travelling times cut down, and so you're not having to travel half an hour each way to get to another office. But and being able to head to the school if I'm needed. And certainly the last year there's been a few times I've had to go in, but it gives me the flexibility. It definitely gives me the flexibility, but I've had a few employers that have been fantastically supportive and flexible.
Right.
And so yeah, I've been very, very lucky. But yeah, having my own business it's great.
Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah. A couple of businesses.
The flexibility, fantastic. So you mentioned you had a couple of challenging stories. Have you got another one for us?
Oh my goodness. So I'm just trying to think of a really good one. Well, I suppose obviously you hear from my accent, I'm from Northern Ireland, and a lot of people think that it's quite a dangerous place to be, and I'll tell you, it's not.
Right.
It's actually one of the safest places I've ever felt I've been in.
Really?
Yeah. So like whenever I was growing up, I learned to drive. I just passed my driving test, and I'm driving around the town I lived in, and of course there's army checkpoints everywhere. So for people like me, actually, that's really, really handy because it's an excuse for constantly being late.
Yeah.
It's like, I got 3 checkpoints, so it's fine. Yeah, and they're always very polite, and where you come from, where you going to. Yeah, fine, okay, off you go. Thank you very much. Oh, it's you again. Yeah, I forgot something. I had to go home and get up. Okay, have a nice night.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but Northern Ireland is an amazing place, and I just wish people would go and visit a bit more often and see just how beautiful it is. It's particularly beautiful on a nice day, so if you can get there in one of those 2 days a year, then 'cause that's about all there is.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's, and even growing up there, there'd be, obviously there's bombs, but there wasn't too many, and there was a couple of obviously horrific ones, but an awful lot. There was always a warning would be given, and so the area would be evacuated. And one time I was living up at university, and a bomb went off in the local town. There was no casualties at all. The town square was empty. But I'm not sure which shop it was, but all the shops around it were all like high street clothing outlets. So it was actually really good smoke damage sales after that.
Oh,
and
right.
It was coming up to Christmas as well. So we were all in the next day going, right, everything's half price or 75% off. Brilliant. Let's go shopping. So, yeah, every cloud's got a silver lining, I suppose. But
so you said you got warning, though. What do you mean you got warning of?
Oh, whoever was, whichever side was committing the terrorist act, it would call the police and let them know that a device was planted. So
that seems a little odd.
Yeah, well, there's all sorts of reasons behind that. As school kids, we actually took credit for that because we felt it was because we were calling them in. Well, not personally, but school kids were calling them into their schools to get the school evacuated whenever they had double economics on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
So that the school kids, they claimed that was for that reason. So then at least the police would say, no, that that's not the right code. So there's no bomb scare. Go back to school, please.
Right, yeah.
We have cameras and we can see you in that phone box.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not sure of the ins and outs of the details of that, but they would normally give warnings.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not what I was expecting.
No.
Yeah. So I think the perception of Ireland, or some of the perception I have anyway, is economic trouble, and you hear about the IRA.
Yeah.
Probably about having grown up in Australia. That's about all I know at this point, having never been there. What is your jobs prospects like there?
Well, in Southern Ireland, I did most of my working career in Southern Ireland, and I was there really enjoying the Celtic Tiger, and it was fantastic. And then with the GFC, there was a large downturn, but we were there actually in September, and you could feel the difference. It was very, very positive. There was buzzing around. It was absolutely brilliant.
Right.
And there seemed to be a big upturn again. It's not back to where it was, but certainly it's just really great city. I really enjoyed myself when I was back in Dublin.
Gotcha.
And a lot of the jokes are saying, well, our normal state of affairs is depression. Right. Then we had like 20 or 30 years of boom.
Right.
And we all partied.
Yeah.
We partied like there was no tomorrow, and then now it's actually back to normal again.
Gotcha.
So this is our status quo.
Cool.
But the Irish are great. They always make a joke out about things, and have a bit of fun out of whatever situation it is.
Brilliant.
So, it was great to be back in September.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about where you are now. So you got Picnic & Co. and G8 Ladies. I think I want to hear about G8 Ladies first. It sounds very reminds me of the G8 that you have the political leaders go to. Is that what it was based off in some way?
Sort of.
Really?
So
Okay.
I have a bit of a crush on Madeleine Albright. I think she's absolutely amazing.
Don't know who that is.
She was the first female ambassador for the United States to the United Nations.
Oh, okay, yep.
And then she was Secretary of State. So she was just an incredible lady. And I was reading her book, and it was about whenever she became the US ambassador to the United Nations. And there was 7 other female ambassadors, and she noticed an awful lot of, they weren't getting the airtime. There was a lot of mansplaining being done, and they were just being talked over.
Mm-hmm.
So she gathered the ladies together and said, listen, you know, we all need to support each other. We're women, and this is a man's world, and we all need to support each other. So she called that group the G7.
Okay.
And she said to the other ladies, you know, okay, we'll have a pact. If we phone each other, we answer.
Yep.
And one of the other ambassadors for a different country, and he said, look, I'm from a very large country, and how come the ambassador for Liechtenstein has a direct dial number to the ambassador in the United States? She said, oh yeah, I understand. I'll tell you a way to solve that. If you resign and put a lady in your place. So I thought, oh, you go, girl. So whenever I thought, well, that's a brilliant way to support other women and boost other women.
Mm-hmm.
Because they just wouldn't have got the airtime.
Okay.
And when I was looking around as well, you know, having kids and being busy in work, I was finding that there was a lot of networking events that I couldn't attend.
Right. Okay.
And I thought, well, if somebody else is attending them, if they could write something up, so then I could at least learn from it.
Okay. Yep.
So I was writing up my own, anything I was attending, I was writing up the learnings. I called it the takeaways.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sharing it with a few friends, and the group sort of grew and grew. Said, oh yeah, that was really good. Could you send me that as well? And then there was 8 of us would meet regularly down at, we're just on Fridays down on Eagle Pier.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought,
for a wine?
For a
Yeah,
wine
a
and
couple of
chat.
wines, yeah.
We talked about the takeaways,
Yeah.
what we'd learned.
Yep.
And it was interesting because while we were talking about the learnings, they say, oh, why did you attend that? So you explain why. I said, oh, I know somebody who actually knows something else about that. I can put you in touch and that can help you out as well. So it was just a fantastic way of sharing and learning and supporting each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, there's 8 of us. We could be the G8 ladies.
Right.
So that's where it started. And now we've had about 220 members.
Wow. Yep.
Which is about, I think probably about 50 or 60 really active members.
Mm-hmm.
And we meet once a month now, and we've been fantastically supported by a few great companies around Brisbane,
Mm-hmm.
letting us use their boardrooms and the breakout spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And so we talk about the takeaways, the 2-minute takeaways,
Yep.
and share information, support each other. And we also now have 15-minute slots where you can showcase your skill set.
Okay.
The speakers at the last one were talking about, you know, so presence and how to change your body and your stance to help build your confidence to just make a speech or go for an interview.
Cool.
And then also about digital, just explaining, demystifying the whole digital.
Okay.
So they were really, really good sessions. And so as a group, we're planning next year as well.
Right.
Yeah, so it's really grown, and the feedback's been fantastic. Everybody's loving it, and it is truly supportive and sharing. There's no hierarchy.
Cool.
There's nothing like that. And of course, we have a couple of glasses of bubbles.
Couple of wines, yeah.
Oh yeah, it has to be done.
Do you so are the people in your group typically time poor women similar to you?
Well, it just depends, because sometimes they're attending lots of events, and then other times
okay.
workload just goes insane, or family members are sick, or they're away and they don't attend anything, and they really value the fact that they can't attend something, but they can still read up what happened and then contact the person, say, hey, you know, what about this and what about that, and what was your take on it? Mm-hmm. So I think one person actually commented it was good to see what other people's take on it was.
Okay.
So and also just sharing, well, what events are coming up, because it's a lot of events I would attend, a lot of people didn't know about them, and vice versa. So I've started attending events that I'd never heard of, and they're fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So what drives you to continue to do this? Because I mean, I've ran a lot of events myself, and they're not easy at times, right? No. So you know, there has to be some drive there keeping you going, I'm assuming.
Oh, look, absolutely. You've got to love what you're doing. And when I see people being put together and they've got a challenge and then somebody else is able to help them out, that's just incredible. And knowing that that group came together to help that person, or somebody, next year we're going to have a session on if anybody's got an idea and they want to thrash it out with people. And in that group as well, we've got a huge range of different skill sets, different levels in your career. We've got employees, we've got independents, we've got startups, we've got CEOs. There's just a huge range of people there, and everybody wants to support and help each other.
Right.
So it's it's quite unique actually. So when I see that, I think, oh yeah, this is worth it,
and
because
it keeps going. Yeah,
it's a lot of effort.
Yeah,
and the group, they're all putting their hands up, saying, look, yeah, we know this is effort. We'll all help.
Right, cool.
So they really want to keep it going. So it's a group effort.
Yep. And so you must be pretty passionate about supporting other women in the professional space, I assume it'd be.
Definitely, yeah.
It's an interesting topic for me, because obviously I don't really know much about it, because, I haven't experienced what it's like to be a woman. But it's talked about a lot in the media.
Yeah.
It's more and more. How do you think it's going overall as sort of a, I don't know how to phrase this, but how is that improving, or is it improving?
And it sort of depends where you're at. So, for example, in the project management space, I never really noticed that there was any real difference. It was always very much on skill set.
Gotcha.
So I was very unaware in the project management world, in the business analyst world, in the tester world. And whenever I started in IT, it was very much, it was 50-50. There was lots of women in IT as well.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody commented recently, how aren't we getting women to go into IT at university? And I thought, oh, nonsense, of course there are. And then I looked at the figures. I couldn't believe it. I don't know what on earth has happened, why women aren't choosing to go into these careers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something is happening right at the beginning to divert the choices to something else, and not IT and not science. So it's a fantastic push on at the minute. Big push on pushing STEM and making that seem an interesting option. And a fun option for girls. Again, an awful lot of the ladies in the group, they're very, very active in that space. So it's a strange one. Then you look as well in the C-suite, and there's really not that many women. And on boards, there's definitely not a lot of women. They say there's more men called Peter or David or something like that than there are women on boards. Yeah. And then the women who are on the boards, well, they're on multiple. So they're counted multiple times.
They're really...
So, but women look at things differently. And that's what you want whenever you're on boards and you're up at the C-suite. You want the different opinions, because wouldn't it be terrible if the CEO said, yeah, that's a great idea, and everybody sat there and nodded and nobody challenged and nobody said, well, hang on, have we thought about this? Have we thought about that? Yeah. Oh, my goodness, that's dreadful. So... You need the diversity, you need the different points of view. If you have it all the same and everybody's buddy helping everybody else out, it's just not going to work. And society's not going to be as strong and as it won't be able to grow.
Yeah, well, I did encounter when I tried to run an event in venture capital recently, probably 6 months ago now. Good luck getting a woman to be at that event if you can't get the very few who are in that space. Yeah. It was incredible.
I know. But even some of the simplest things about events, there's so many, they say, come along to this event, it's about diversity and inclusion, and it starts at 7 a.m. I think that's great. Before school care opens at 7 a.m. Yeah. I can't get there. Right. Do you actually look at who your audience is and can they make it? Because we live in Brisbane, it's Queensland. There's a lot of there's men and women are fly in, fly out. So whichever partner's at home, they're doing the kids drop off. There's no backup. So having a 7 a.m. event is really quite difficult. Yeah. I attend a lot of events in Governance Institute, and thank God they are a 7:30 to 7:45 start.
Right. Gotcha.
And I am so thankful for it. I arrive there and it's the same amazing people on the door, and like, okay, Gail, you've made it. Yeah. And breathe. Yeah. Gotcha. Put your badge on, have a cup of tea. You're all right. Yeah. Because they know what I've just gone through to get there for that time. So it's just simple logistics, thinking twice about, well, who do you want to be in attendance and what time of day you're putting it on at. So
yeah, it is a funny feeling, I think, too, when you do go to an event or a networking event or any business event. It feels a little strange when it's about 90% men. Yeah, it's just a strange feeling. Yeah. It's hard to put my finger on it, and like a lot of the men that I'm talking to there are complaining that there's no women there. Which I then suggest, well, if they leave, the ratio would even up a bit. They don't like that much.
But if the men are there, well, their partners are making dinner for the kids, and vice versa. If it's all women, well, your men are supporting you. So it's a partnership. So yeah, if you want women to be there, make it easy.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's talk about Picnic and Co.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So that was a wouldn't it be nice if moment.
Right.
Yeah. So obviously you've got two kids, and having a picnic at the weekend, I absolutely love it. I mean, you live in Queensland. It's absolutely amazing. Get out in the parks. It's always good weather. It's not like Northern Ireland where you plan to go for a picnic and it may or may not snow, rain, hail, massive storm in the same day. So we've just got the best place, and I love going for the picnics, but the preparation and the hassle is almost too much. So I thought, wouldn't it be really nice if I could order something online and it got delivered, and we just grabbed it and went. I thought, that's actually a good idea. So I talked it through with a few people, and everybody said, yes, that's a great idea. But I couldn't work out a way of doing it that wouldn't require me making sandwiches and running around different shops.
Yeah.
And that wasn't going to be, because that was a full-time work as well.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I thought, well, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So I chatted to my buddy. So Kate and I had a coffee and a good old chat. She's from Northern Ireland as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
We talked a lot. And so, yeah, we were just chatting away. And she said, well, because her husband has a catering company. Said, if we partner up, we could actually do this. And I thought, yeah, I think you're right. All right, then let's give it a go. Let's start planning it out and teasing it out, and let's see, is this actually something that's feasible? So we planned and we chatted, and had many cups of coffee, many cups of tea, and the odd glass of wine. I thought, actually, this is really going to work. So we launched it, and a lot of people were saying, wow, this is fantastic. Do you also do corporate catering? We thought, well, don't see why not. So I've actually used their company before when I was working in corporate offices and I was running workshops.
Okay.
And I'd used their company, and the food was always the top quality,
Yep.
really good, excellent value for money, and different. They were offering platters whenever everybody was watching, offering massive lumps of bread with filling, and they were offering different things. And I thought, actually, yeah, this would be really good for corporate catering, because I'd use them for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're just constantly tweaking our menu now, and we had a launch there a couple of weeks back at my kids' school fair,
Cool.
which was so exhausting but fantastic.
Yep.
And a lot of people came up and said, yep, I've got a couple of catering events coming up, can you do them? So we've now had 2 catering events, and a few quotes out for a few more, and we're actually, Catherine has been very generous and asked us if we could cater the Gumption Trigger book launch as well,
Yeah.
which we're doing. So we're being really creative for the menu for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we should talk about that soon. We'll just stay on Picnic and Co for a second, because
Sure.
it sounds like you've got really a lot of organic growth.
Yeah, so look, it's the company's really taking off, and there's a lot of interest in it. But the way I'm looking at it and approaching it is, it's a project. What's the problem we're trying to solve? Where do we want to get to? Why do people want to use this? And really structuring it and keeping the project head on and saying, well, no, this is actually, it's a piece of work. It's a project. We had our startup phase. We've had our first launch phase, our first event phase.
Yep.
And now we're into follow-up phase. So it's all little projects in a larger piece of work. So it's brilliant. I'm really enjoying it. I was just on the phone to a client there on the way in, and yeah, I'm looking forward to more and more events and growing it. So
Wow.
it didn't expect so much interest so fast, but really keeping it that it's a system.
Mm-hmm.
So we are connecting up people to some good quality catering food.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And just making life easier for people.
Right. Yeah. I'd be interested. How do you differentiate yourself in that space? I mean, I don't know it well, but I assume there's other caterers around.
Yes. there's plenty. With us, we don't have overheads of a shop, or where there's some amazing caterers, but they run it through their delis and their shops, and they are gorgeous. We would buy stuff from them ourselves previously.
Mm-hmm.
So we are direct from the caterers, from the catering, from the kitchens, and the caterers' delivery trucks to the customers, and they're all refrigerated delivery trucks. So it's top quality, and it's meeting all the food preparation and delivery and storage standards. So
Cool.
yeah, it's we can cut out the middleman.
Right.
It's just
okay.
myself and Kate,
Yeah,
and we're
gotcha.
running, and we provide quotes where we need to, but really you just go to the website and you can order whatever you want and get it delivered. It's very, very simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it sounds so good, I think.
It's keeping it simple.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the gumption trigger, we talked about that with Catherine about 5 episodes ago, I think it was. Fascinating lady, that one.
She's amazing.
So why did you become part of that project?
So Catherine was talking about that, I think it was last June or July, and we were having a chat, and she was saying, she's got this idea brewing for a book, and she was looking for authors, and I said, okay, well, tell me, what exactly do you want to achieve? What's the purpose of this book? And she told me, and I thought, I'd love to be one, please. So we had a chat, and we talked about what would my story be, and she said, oh yeah, that would be fantastic. So I really talk about really sometimes life chucks the curveball at you, and it's how you hit it back. So if you have adversity, if you have challenges in life, nothing's impossible, and you just need to look at it a different way and give it a go anyway. It doesn't really matter. So that's where my involvement came in, and then she was wondering what other authors were about, and she listed a few other fantastic ladies that she knows. I felt very overwhelmed at how amazing they were.
Right.
And I've met quite a few of them now, and I can't wait to read their stories.
Okay, so you haven't read them yet?
No. I'm looking forward to the book being published. I can read theirs because, wow, it's sensational.
Right.
But I introduced her to my sister.
Okay.
And she's had a lot of medical challenges.
Okay.
And so she's just been incredible and overcome so much. She'd had ulcerative colitis and ended up losing her colon.
Oh, wow.
And so many operations. And she just said, right, it's the next one. I hate it, but we're getting through this. And all right, here we go again. There's every time they say, well, from this operation, there's a chance you will get this, this, and this. She got every one of them.
Oh, right.
She was that lucky.
Oh, wow.
So, and she said, okay, now we're dealing with it. What's next? And it was continuous and unrelenting, but she just got through it. And that sort of illness, when people look at you, they don't see that you're sick, but she still managed to just keep going, and then go home and go and sleep for about 10 hours. But she was just exhausted.
Right.
It was really tough on her, and she was focused because she had her strong family, and she was making sure she was going to be well enough for them.
Gotcha.
So I've introduced her, and Emma's now one of the authors as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So her story's in there too.
Wow.
So we're hoping that the different range of stories, if it helps one person to get over a tough time, and as Catherine said, what's triggering your gumption to get up and deal with it and to win. So there's so many good stories from the ladies that we hope that we will help at least one person.
Yeah. Did you ever picture yourself being an author?
No. It's brilliant.
Okay, yeah.
It's a new world, but I really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with my own consultancy then, I have another book going round in my head. So yeah, it's great. I really enjoyed it. It was very confronting writing my chapter.
Yep.
Because it was going back and reliving it and writing it down, and then when you're editing it yourself, you're going back over it again.
Right.
And then thinking, well, this is how I remembered it. Would that insult anybody? Okay, maybe I need to change that or take that bit out. Just going back, well, how did you perceive it at the time?
Yeah.
And how would other people perceive that? So just making sure that it was all very factual. And there was trying to remove emotion, but have a bit of laugh in it as well, because they say these challenges, one of these days we will look back and laugh and laugh and laugh, and it's true. You do have to laugh, otherwise, oh my God.
Yeah, you'd be in trouble. Yeah, that's similar to the goal of this podcast. Actually, is to talk about the tough times in business and personal, and how people got through it, obviously, and or how they're dealing with whatever it is. So I've found that very humbling. So I think the book might have a similar effect on some people, perhaps. Yeah,
I hope so. It's there's certainly a lot of emotion has gone in, and it's been a very trying time for people. Like I know myself, like writing it was really confronting, and some of the others, they've had to relive what has happened, and it's taken them back, and and they've had to write their chapters in sections just to get themselves through it. But it's been really therapeutic.
Wow, okay.
And my sister said that as well, just really going back over it all again. And And after the initial shock of, oh my God, did that really happen? Because you just put it out of your mind and get on with it. So
absolutely.
going back, reliving it and saying, yeah, and I did it, and it's good, and it's over.
Yeah. I'd be really interested to know if you'd advise other people to do the same thing, because I think I'm one of those people who will just block things out, you know, and probably, to be fair, never deal with it. You know, there's things, you know, you don't go back to, but I question at times whether that's holding me back in some other way. You know, I want to do well in the business world, but you know, there's probably behaviors that come from certain times that I haven't, you know, properly dealt with certain experiences.
Yeah. I highly recommend going through and just looking at different things, and whether you just talk it through with a buddy or you write it out in a book, it doesn't matter. I think in this day and age as well, we've so much connection that we're almost a bit isolated because with social media. I mean, you look on Facebook, everybody's got these amazing, wonderful lives we like to portray. There's nobody really saying, oh my God, what a terrible day. And I screwed up here. And then I said that to that person and that to that person. And oh my God, I'm a horrible person. You know, whereas without the social media, you had your mates there. If somebody said something, they jumped on you. Said, hey, what would you do that for? That wasn't very nice. And things were spoken about. You'd have your get-togethers and, you know, talk things through. And you'd verbalise, you get it out there, and you know, your friends would help you work it through. And sometimes with so much social media and the lights are always on, you don't have the downtime. It's hard to really stay connected in a good way.
With other people.
Yeah, properly face-to-face.
Yeah.
Turn the phones off.
Yeah.
Just sit and chat. And it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
So it's there's a lot of information overload at the minute, and what way, how you're supposed to act.
Yep.
Like I remember when I was pregnant with both pregnancies, and all these celebrities saying, oh, this pregnancy is the most wonderful thing in the world, and I feel so complete, and the birth was fantastic, and looking at them all glowing after 4 weeks after childbirth, and I looked at myself in the mirror and thought, I want to slap you. You're not real.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. Go away with that nonsense, you know? It just, it's so ridiculous. Everybody has these stupid standards that we're expected to rise up to, and it's not achievable. Just ignore all those numpties.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because I did recently take 2 weeks off my phone. I turned my phone off for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Just went away and didn't use the internet either. Actually, I said no phone, no internet, and for that reason, I just I felt like it was controlling me more than the other way around, and was awesome. I slept really well, and you know, I felt a lot more clarity around what I was doing. But I noticed the night I turned my phone back on, I just stuffed around on it for a couple of hours. Yeah. And, you know, went to bed way later than what I needed to, and just doing nothing though, not doing anything useful.
It's crazy. We're not switching off. I've actually started putting mine on airplane mode a lot more, and I love it. It's because the text messages, because the rest of my family's they're in America, they're in Europe, they're in Ireland. Messages come through in the night a lot of the times, especially if it's the weekend, you know. So I'd be constantly getting woken up from it. It'd be on silent, but it's buzzing. So now it goes on airplane mode, or I switch it off. Or I haven't quite got to putting it in a different room, but that's the next step. Yeah, I'm weaning myself off. But I was on Facebook, and then I came off Facebook. It was driving me nuts, and it was really good coming off it. But then there was a few groups in the UK that I really missed, so I wanted to keep in touch with them, and that was the only way to do it was through Facebook. And then also the school started putting out notifications on social media, so I thought, so I'm back on it again, but it's more controlled. I am in control.
You're right.
It does not control me.
Brilliant.
Let's see how long that lasts.
Airplane mode is a godsend. I would agree with that totally. Where's some places we can find you, Gail, if we want to seek you out?
So I'm on LinkedIn, and so whatever the LinkedIn thing is, it's then Gail Creighton. Yeah,
I'll link to it in the show notes, so that's cool. Yeah.
I'm on Twitter, but I'm not. I'll put a post on LinkedIn and link it to Twitter. I only look on Twitter about once a week. I don't really get Twitter.
Right.
I don't understand it.
Yeah,
anyway, I shouldn't really be saying that, but I don't.
Fair enough.
But you can get me through my organisation, Rhapsodate Consulting.
Yep.
rhapsodateconsulting.com.au.
No worries.
Find me through picnicandco.com.au. And then, so LinkedIn, Picnic & Co, Rhapsodate Consulting. And if you want to come along and meet me in person, come to the Gumption Trigger book launch.
Right.
That's on the 7th of December.
Yep.
And we're in the Telstra building because
Gotcha.
Dr. Catherine Ball is last year's, I think she was the winner of Queensland Telstra Businesswoman of the Year, and then she was national for innovation. And so they've been really, really supportive, and they're letting us hold our launch there. So
Brilliant.
come along and join the party.
What about the G8 ladies? If someone is interested in
absolutely
hearing more about that.
Yeah, so if you connect with me on LinkedIn,
Okay.
and then I can add you to the group.
Okay.
And then just come along. So we had our final session last Friday for the year. So we're planning our 2017. So we're making sure that we keep it easy make sure everybody can attend. So we're going to run the first session probably the end of January, beginning of February, because a lot of people take time off in January.
Yeah.
And there's not that many events as well. So I'll let people build up their takeaways and so they can share them.
Gotcha.
So we've already started planning for next year, and there's some amazing suggestions coming through of what the members want to see out of their group. But we're just finalising our venue. So
Brilliant.
yeah, it's all excited.
Awesome. Gail, it's been fantastic. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much. It's been great.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Be The Push podcast. Show notes can be found at bethepush.com/podcast and clicking on the relevant episode link. I appreciate your company and look forward to talking to you again soon.